the four-way test of things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you, Kamlesh. Rotary Jaganmohan, you can take it over now from here for your secretary's report.
Yeah, good evening, Rotarians and Sanets. It's my pleasure in inviting you all for the first speaker meeting for the current Rotary year. The year started with the SDA priority project of our district governor on July 1st by contributing for 20 toilets in Kootupulikot in Anagatti, planting of saplings, and donating 11 cycles for school-going boys and girls in Malnur in Anagatti. On July 4th, we have done vaccination for 21 girls for prevention of cervical cancer in GKNM hospitals. On July 11th, installation of our new office bearers for the current Rotary year took place, attended by all our members. On the same day of installation, e-directory of our club and our website was launched by our chief guest author Chetan Bhagat. On the same day, we have inducted Mr. Balachandar, son of our past president and senior Rotarian VC Nageshwaran, who spearheaded in making our club the first 100% PHF club in the world. This week, Rotarian CG Nageshwaran and Aunt Sabita celebrated their wedding anniversary on July 13th. Rotarian Amit Dugar and Aunt Shilpa celebrated their anniversary on July 14th. Rotarian Dr. Padmanabhan celebrated his birthday on 15th July, and our charter president Rotarian Dr. G. Lakshmipathy celebrated his birthday on 17th July. I wish all our Rotarians and aunts and many happy returns of the day. Now I request Rotarian Murali to say a few words about our speaker of the day, Padma Shri Dr. V. Prakash, and Ash Khemka, a few words about our chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Prakash, for accepting the invitation. As I mentioned to you, this is one of the, I would say, most accomplished Rotary Club in Coimbatore, and I am privileged myself to be part of this. Every one of them are so accomplished, so we can go on and on and on about each person's what he has done in his life. So just as an introduction here for the others who are on this call, so my association with Dr. Prakash goes a long way back. I can only add a few things to something that Yash is going to read out, which itself is a very abridged and a very condensed form of his biodata. But before I do that, let me tell you, Dr. Prakash was instrumental in bringing a lot of industry collaborative ideas in this food area, particularly when he was the director there. I know that almost every single industry person whom I have interacted, had something to do with food, have always been looking at Dr. Prakash for guidance. He is one person who understands that bureaucracy is not about stalling things. That was something which myself and my other colleague who is on this call also know. He works very late in the night. Most of his SMSs come very late in the night to me, and I have to react to that. And I know that he doesn't stall. So that is one of the things, because we did one of the very tough registrations for one of the molecules. And he brought it into the books as one of the molecules that I registered in India. And he never allowed me to do anything silly in the documents, which ran into hundreds of pages on the regulatory part, and he was guiding through every single step that I was doing. Now, the reason I am saying this is, most of the times, if you are not able to get a regulatory approval or a regulatory question done, it is on account of who handles it. So as the chairman of the technical committee, Dr. Prakash was always instrumental in doing a lot of things. So I think we should be very proud there is somebody who has brought in a sense of urgency into the food sector, a person who has been instrumental in bringing a lot of quality guidelines into the food sector, somebody who has been instrumental in transferring a number of technologies into the food sector, and also working on an international reputation and holding several offices there. I was very fortunate when he asked me to write a chapter in his book. Personally, when I read the book, I feel my chapter is the weakest chapter, but all other chapters look really robust and good. I think with all his editing, he managed to bring some sort of respectability to my writing, I guess. But I'm very pleased to be part of his book where I could contribute a chapter there. It is my immense pleasure today to welcome him into this August forum here. And also I'm very sure that he will bring in a lot of new perspectives that he has been educating me for a very, very long time. So welcome, sir. And I would now request Yash to go through his CV, because I was very nervous to read it out. Yash, you should read it out without any mistake. So that is the reason I left it to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rotarian Murli, sir. President, Secretary, Rotarians, ANS, and esteemed guests to have given me the opportunity to introduce our guest of honor, Padma Shri Dr. Vishveshwaraya Prakash today. Dr. Vishveshwaraya Prakash is the pride of India. He is the crown jewel to the Indian food science and technology area. He has created limitless strides in the field of food science, food technology, biochemistry of foods, structural biology, food product development, nutrition biotechnology, nutraceuticals, ayurceuticals, herbaceuticals, and many more. He completed his bachelor's and master's from Mysore University and his doctoral degree from the University of Mysore. He then moved to the United States in 1976 and did his postdoctoral research at Texas Medical Center in Houston and Brandeis University in Boston. He moved back to India in 1981 and has ever since contributed towards the Indian scientific research and development area. He has published a whopping 55 patents, 214 publications, and filed more than 50 PhD degrees. He is the author to 14 books, while 12 more are in pipeline. He is currently the Vice President of International Union of Nutritional Sciences, Honorary President of International Society of Nutraceuticals, Nutritionals, and Naturals. He has been at the helm of creating nutraceuticals regulations gazetted in India in 2018. He is also the man responsible for establishing the Nutraceutical and Nutritional Research Center at Ramaiah University. He is the recipient of honors such as Padma Shri, India's highest honor for science and technology by receiving the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, Rajyotsava Award, and many more. He is also an evaluator of projects for various organizations globally, including the World Bank and the European Union. There are hundreds of more achievements and decorations to the name of Dr. Prakash. And I would like to list all of them, but due to time constraints, I'd like to complete by saying that Dr. Vishveshwaraya Prakash strives towards creating innovative solutions to minimize food wastage, undernutrition, global hunger, and more so nationally in nutritional programs, inclusive of child and maternal malnutrition endeavors. On behalf of Rotary Club of Coimbatore Central, I welcome you to this meeting, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Yash.
Thank you. So can I start the...
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a great pleasure on this Saturday evening. I feel I'm personally in Coimbatore with all of you. And first of all, a big welcome to all of you. It is so important that not only I have been raised to a level for which I had to live with that expectation for the next half an hour or 1 hour. But I've also been elevated to a Bollywood level, as somebody compared me to Anupam Kher. So I don't think I can act. I can only speak from my heart. And so I'll be a very poor actor. And therefore, I would certainly say that both Yash Khemka, my dear young Yash Khemka, the future of India is with people like Yash, who are going to shape us completely differently. And also to Dr. Murli, who spoke a very informal way to link our friendship, which is everlasting. I don't say long-lasting, everlasting. And that's because we don't expect from each other anything. We only expect science when we are on the phone, when we are on the email, when we are on SMS. And I think when we talk, science grows. When we don't talk, I don't know where science is growing, but that's the way I respect Murali. My dear Rotarians and families of Rotarians of Coimbatore Central, President Mr. Ashish Khemka, and Secretary Mr. Jaganmohan, and dear friends and Rotarians around Tamil Nadu. I'm sure some of them are abroad also, I understand, and they're all logged in. And special invitees, allied citizens of Coimbatore. Most people know Coimbatore is known for industries. Coimbatore is known for innovation. Coimbatore is known for small-scale industries. And Coimbatore is known for medical tourism and medical epicenter. And according to me, Coimbatore is known for one more thing. The best yielding sugarcane of this country, which made revolution in sugarcane, came from Coimbatore, such a sweet city of India. And therefore, I'm honored to be along with you. And first of all, congratulate Rotary for the wonderful societal missions that you have taken up and done. And I also feel I'm not eligible to be an opening batsman. Normally, I'm a middle order batsman in cricket. So, but you asked me to start the first talk with the Rotary Central here. So I will try my best to face the fast bowlers in the first wicket. Yeah, so that is important. And also, I welcome special invitees if there are any, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all express my pleasure and joy to be with you today evening, and thank you very much for inviting me. Dr. Murali was talking to me over a subject on biotechnology and nutrition, and we disconnected. And after 5 minutes, he again called. I thought he had missed a point. But then he said, sir, can you kindly accept this invitation? I took a 5-second pause, and I didn't know whether the COVID is not there in Coimbatore and therefore I have to go personally there, or like any other city here also. So I took a 5 seconds and then just said, yes, doesn't matter. I have to be there, I will be there, doesn't matter. But if I have to be on online, no problem. And therefore, the rest of the logistics worked out, and it all ended up nicely till today evening. And I won't take too much time because it's rather boring to hear a person more than 28 minutes. At the end of it, people get bored. We'll talk more. The topic today I selected was something to do with COVID, of course, because we are all worried about it. Whether we are a doctor, an industrialist, a social worker, a scientist, an engineer, or a politician, everybody is worried about one thing, and that is COVID-19. So I thought as a topic like this for Rotary, which is more involved in societal mission, is very important. But I will not forget my science, and I will not forget my subject area of food, nutrition, and gut. So I connected all the things and said, connecting science of immunity. And with Coimbatore, I will not forget business. Science of immunity with business of food, nutrition, and gut. And if it were any other city, if it were Mysore city, I would have removed the word business, because Mysore is never good in business. It is good in academics. So therefore, I selected this title. And I did not want to use slides because I mentioned already, number one, you start reading it, the others also don't pay attention to the eyes. And we need eyes-to-eye contact. And that makes a lot of difference in digesting a talk and the body language. I probably would begin about food and agriculture, which Coimbatore is well known for it. The immunity story and science in terms of COVID-19, what it is, and about the gut. You always say, my gut feeling is I'm going to release this product, right? That's what you always say when you're an industrialist. My gut feeling is I'll release it next Friday. That's the kind of gut. Where does it come, this gut business? And we would like to know a little bit. Then move on to nutrition. And next, I will move on a little bit into Ayurveda, which is very important. And Coimbatore is also known around with a number of traditional wisdom and traditional foods and also traditional practices. And of course, with the Isha Foundation in Coimbatore, I can't forget yoga and meditation. And this is also equally important. And all these have to connect in about 20 minutes. That's a miracle. And I will try my best to do that magic and how best I can do. But this should involve itself into a business world, create more employment, lessen a little bit of poverty in the area, and the whole chain has to be sustainable from farm to consumer in the case of food, but otherwise from raw material to the final product in the case of other non-food industries and enterprises. Ultimately, we need to be carbon footprint friendly, and also water conservation is very important. At the same time, the ecosystem has to be taken care. I'm so glad you have planted so many trees. And I remember the lady from Karnataka, Khemka, who has been awarded Padma Shri, and because of tree planting from her childhood. And I also would like to, at this point of time, give my special regards and respect to Dr. Ramani, who is also Padma Shri. And I remember him so well, meeting him in many places. And thank you, Mr. Ramani. I will then lastly wind up in relation to COVID health and the role of, woman in the society and the family to keep healthy and going day after day, 24/7. And of course, some men are very good in entering the kitchen, but only for the sake of certificate, but they may not be involved in course. And therefore, ultimately, we have to look at the question and answers in a way in which we can definitely learn from each other. So let me first touch upon food in the first 3 to 4 minutes. Food comes from nature, and ultimately there shall be no replacement for nature and soil, rain and air, which is oxygen. So there's no question of having a synthetic food at all. That's very important. And energy and food are related. So energy goes in, and that much energy is stored in the food, and finally the man gets it and the human being gets it. Generally, food means we talk of finished products, right? So we talk of bread, we talk of dosa, we talk of idli, and we talk of, vadumangai, pickles, but not the natural ones. What happens? So there are 5 sectors, which are grains, fruits and vegetables, staples, and meat, fish, and poultry, dairy sector, and of course, one more important sector, which is never included in food, I don't know where it will be included, is spices and condiments. Think of one day without spices, you go really mad. It's so important that we don't even mention as a sector of food. We call it spices and condiments, without which there is no question of taste at all. It is also seasonal, and at the same time, the traditional foods, over 3,000 years in India, with 17,000 traditional foods, only God can save us. How can we eat all of them in one's life? Very difficult. So that is the number we have. And spices adds variety to that school of thoughts of, traditional food. Growing food is fundamental, and priority it all comes to the farm. Therefore, I want to dedicate this talk not only to the serving the Rotarians and around the globe, but also to the farmer, without whom we would not be able to today, with money, buy food. He is doing a big favor to us by putting the food in the market. He need not. He can store it and keep it for himself, but he brings it to the market. And I'm sure, as Coimbatorians, many of you know agriculture more than me, and therefore I'm not going to spend too much time, but what is important is, it is Coimbatore that made per hectare yield of sugarcane #1 in the world. #1 in the world. Never goes in the Guinness Book of Record. So it is this that all agricultural scientists remember #1. This made a big difference. And there's a huge write-up on that. I don't have to take it too much, but I want to congratulate that farmer who grew that first sugarcane, and then yield went up by almost 10 times, 12 times. Therefore, when we look at farm level of production, productivity, per capita availability, and at the same time, we also have to remember 700 million children go to bed with one meal every 3 days. And that's not okay. One Rotary cannot take care of it. One, food meal per day in the noon for children won't take care of it. And therefore, it is important when we talk about all this, minimization of food losses is very important, and having a nutritious food is more important. So my second point, I'm going to stitch all of them into a nice three-piece suit in the end. But my second point is immunity. Since many of you come into this sector with a varied amount of experience, either doctors, engineers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and bankers, investors, scientists, engineers, many of us may not know what is immunity. We keep talking about it, but we don't know. I'll take about 2 minutes to introduce you the word immunity. More than 1 million molecules, and nearly 50,000 reactions known to the human being. Some more are not known. And the biological steps involved in that go into processing in the human body 24/7 to keep your immunity active. No lockdown for immunity till death, and it starts in the womb. That is the reaction that goes on. You can't stop it. You cannot put a switch on and off and say, stop immunity, it's enough. No, that's not in your control. And that's wonderful. God has made like that. So if we look at immunity, we look at a virus, which for Murali, this may be an overdose, but please bear with me, Murali. A virus goes into the body, and then the B cells and the T cells get activated. And finally, the mature dendrite cell through the lymph node will produce the antibodies. And these antibodies, we know, we have heard of it so much now. And this vaccine did not produce antibodies that did it. And excretion of these antibodies from B cells into the plasma cells. And ultimately, these antibodies will go into the naive T cells with proteins and peptides and get into a lot of triggering of immunoglobulins. And finally, the T cells kills the virus, affected cell, and dispose of also. It not only kills, but it also is eco-friendly. It takes it out of your body. Otherwise, your body will be a debris full of dead cells. So it knows how to take it out and break it into pieces and so on. So this is what immunity is all about. And therefore, if we know this much, in other words, a virus attacks you without your permission of bureaucracy, the body reacts and throws it out. If your immunity is in good health and the virus is in some concentration which is tolerable. So therefore, immunity is something that we can only inherit. That means our genes dictate how much immune we are, how much we have managed the immunity without misusing it. For example, a smoker can have a much lower immunity, and that's because he has misused the situation. And therefore, there are some other reactions that take place which divert the energy. So therefore, with that background of food and immunity, we come to gut. My gut feeling is, all of you know what is gut. Long intestine and supposed to be small stomach and large intestine, but both large and small intestine are connected to the stomach. And we have live organisms there. Can you believe, can anybody guess how many organisms are there, how many number? It's almost 10 to 100 trillion total organisms in the body. And the gut is almost close to an average of 10 trillion, if I say I'm not at wrong. Weight of the body wise, it's about 1 gram by weight you have. The gut system that is going to dominate us in per gram of the intestine. And ultimately, you may have as much as You can't even think of how much gut bacteria is there and what varieties are there. In terms of the striking behavior of the gut microbe, we talk about two things, probiotics and prebiotics. Generally, people use this term very freely, very, very freely. Probiotics are live organisms like yogurt, tair, like a tair sapad. You know, when you eat tair or some, tair sambar or anything mixed, the live organisms go into your body and you get the live organism, which is good for you. Prebiotics are those chemicals or substrates which help your gut to give better organism, and the organism grows in your body already, which is there. But the danger of the present system is the antibiotics, which is a nuclear weapon on the body. One antibiotic throughout your life, one dose is enough to finish many organisms. You will never get them back because you don't know what you lost. If you have 10,000 rupees, uncounted money, even if somebody steals 5 rupees or 100 rupees or 10,000 rupees out of it, I would only know when I come to know. Otherwise, I won't know. So antibiotics create what you call as monster cells, basically. And we also know that such 6 billion organisms today, microorganisms in our body, has been almost sacrificed by the chain of antibiotics. So we are almost left with half of what we had maybe 50 years back. What a loss to the entire ecosystem. No wonder we have disturbed the nature so much without knowing the cosmos of the inner world of gut and trying to see a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse. But the eclipse is happening in the stomach, in the gut every day, and we need to be very careful. So with that introduction to gut, my gut feeling is that we have now talked about food, immunity, and gut, but we should also talk about a little bit of nutrition in the COVID scenario. We all know one thing about nutrition. I know so much about nutrition: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. I'm very sorry. There are more than 1 lakh nutrients known to man now, not just a few carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins, and minerals, and fat. I will reduce the fat not to be obese, not to be fatty. I will reduce carb because I don't want calories. You don't want calories, but without carb, the gut will die. So you are going to look like a dehydrated vegetables when you starve the body of carbohydrates. So therefore, it is very, very important. Without much knowledge to take action is dangerous. Just because an aircraft is standing in the airport, you can't go there and start piloting it without a license. Same thing with food. You can't decide something without knowing the final effect on the body. Consult a scientist, consult some people who are knowledgeable about it, and rather than going there. That phase of vitamins, especially now in the COVID time, we need a large excess of vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin C, and zinc, plus one more free thing that you get in nature, sunlight, which is very rare, People have sunlight, but they don't use it. And that's very important. And most people say, I go in sunlight to get vitamin D, but they think vitamin D comes instantaneously from sunlight like a magic. No, there's a chain of reaction. And those molecules from sunlight to vitamin D are more important than vitamin D. So you need to be in sunlight in a stationary phase for about 20 minutes. And this is an old practice of doing Sandhya Vandana, or doing the prostrate to God in the river, near the river, wherever it is, to spend 20 minutes with the morning sun. An old practice, everybody. Prayer in the sun is so important. So I think not recognizing that to any one religion, but recognizing that to a whole set of eco-friendly system of practice that has been in vogue. This telling vitamin D, vitamin E has no meaning. So I'm going to just, for the reference of COVID, mention the following 5 foods, including spices, which make a lot of difference to get you what you need to boost your immunity. And this is not a Vedavakya, this is not a gospel, but best is a good amount of sunlight per day plus a good glass of milk. It's much better to have this for your vitamin D. And for your vitamin C, the best is amla, which is very close to you, gooseberry, which is very close to your heart through pickle, number 2. Number 3, a large amount of zinc is present in many vegetables and fruits. So take as much fresh fruits and vegetables as you want. There's no limitation on that. That doesn't mean you don't moderate and overeat 1 kg of raw vegetables. That's going to create problem. Moderation every day, 2 doses. And then also another important factor is iron and vitamin A. Both are very, very important for our metabolism. Where do you have iron? You have heard of moringa, correct? Which is we use both the leaves as well as the long drumstick, which is very important. In South, there is no sambar without a dash of moringa. Without that, there is no moringa, there is no sambar. And therefore, traditionally, it has been put with a view to get you a maximum amount of iron and a good amount of zinc in that. So these are the 5 panchashil. But the top it all, the 5th one is turmeric, which is nothing but haldi, right? A powder of that. Early in the morning in empty stomach, take it with a little bit of pepper and maybe a ladle of milk and honey. I'm not telling this is going to remove COVID or prevent COVID, but I'm just telling it is going to be a regular practice in your lifestyle, new life, new normal, that you will have this every day so that you don't. And if you cannot afford every day, once in a week, try to have all these combinations of fruits and vegetables. About 70% of your diet must be fruits and vegetables, about 15% carbohydrates, and a lot more of proteins if you can afford, depending upon your age, and finally the rest being a little bit fat. I think you should do very well in boosting immunity, but special cases like diabetes, blood pressure, cardiac problems, etc. need the attention of the doctor. But I think we should boost our immunity free of cost without tablets, but clinical cases require tablets and so on. But those of you who are in a busy life can always pop in a tablet of zinc and a tablet of vitamin D, because you may not be able to afford sunlight because of the nature of work that you have. And therefore, when we talk about food and immunity and nutrition, we also talk about the Ayurveda. Basically, Ayurveda is not a medicine, it's a lifestyle itself. And a large number of them are based on herbals. And we have no problem. We are all Ayurvedic consumers and patients. You know why? Start counting your menu from tomorrow. Everything that you use is herbal. Whether you use coriander leaf or curry leaf or moringa, anything you use from the vegetable side is simply Ayurveda in its own format. But Ayurveda also means combination of physical exercise and mental exercise. You can be as strong as, I don't know who, but to me, because we started with Bollywood, I would say Salman Khan with all the muscular, but mentally you may be sick. So how do you push your mental system up into higher levels of stress that you can handle every day? And I think that is very important to have that mental makeup based on food, what you can take in order to say that yes, here I can take this stress. And therefore, Ayurveda has to reset the button for you. And each one of you would be asking a question, what exercise I have to do, it all depends upon what you are used to. But without about 45 minutes of exercise moderate to your age, all that you eat, that food that you ate, will enrich the sewage and not you. That's for sure. So if you want them to be utilized by the body, you break down into a number of molecules by exercise. I'm not telling you are running several kilometers, but whatever is suitable for your age. Maybe you're doing yoga, you are doing walking. I think do that briskly so that you are real system can be boosted up to digest what you eat rather than enriching the sewage. Eat on one side and don't do any exercise. No, that won't work at all. And also some of the immune cells require exercise because they need to move properly in order to give you the benefit of the boosting of immunity. That means the lymph node has to work very, very, very rapidly to prepare the antibodies and stock it here at this time of delivery. So therefore, any infection you find lymph nodes being enlarged. So how do we really handle all this from the point of view of system of food, immunity, nutrition, gut, Ayurveda, and exercise, meditation, and also keeping the body alive. An important factor that all of us forget, including me, is to have enough sleep. And I don't think you can sacrifice the number of hours of sleep and try to become a rich man. The money will go to somebody else and the diseases will come to you. So I think you require 6 to 8 hours of very sound sleep, very sound sleep. And I think that is, don't forget that immunity is maximized in sleep rather than when you are woken up. So therefore, sleep is an essential factor as much as exercise and food and nutrition in the system. So let me come to the last but one point of business in this sector. And in this sector today, India was lagging behind the world, begging the Western world to approve Ayurveda as a system of medicine, approve Siddha, which Tamil Nadu is quite good at it, and Unani and other things through the Ayush ministry. Please approve this, please do that, export will increase and so on. But that is the time when 20 years back, I realized what is lagging behind for business to go forward in the area of nutraceutical is to follow the Western world of nutraceutical. That is a borrowed word. India has given zero to the world, and the word that we coined was Ayurveda. Why not? And we made a regulation for that. First time in the world, US had not done, China had not done. But it was a very, very difficult job. Why that had to be done? Because we are talking about $500 billion of total business in next 20 years. And that's a big amount. And India should have a large amount of that in its pocket. So when that was gazetted, I resigned from the committee. Till that was gazetted, I was like a leech holding on to the administration. Because normally the government system is, you make a committee, take the recommendation and bury it. And appoint another committee to re-bury it. And again appoint a third committee to bury it. No, till the gazette. Once it is gazetted, Government of India is finished. They can't take it back. It's like a constitution. Now the platform is set for industries. But I am very sorry to say, especially in South India, the industries have not come up to my expectation in utilizing that regulation. 425 Ayurveda are cleared in the Gazette without the permission of the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. You can make products and sell, but only you have to keep them informed. What a license it has. You can mix anything to anything, but you can't claim health claims too much. But you can. So I think here is an opportunity missed. And I want the elite honorary Rotarians and the elite Coimbatore citizens to think of making Ayur Valley headquarters as Coimbatore. Why not? If there is a Silicon Valley, we respect. If there is a Genome Valley in Hyderabad, we respect. But why don't we have Ayur Valley with Coimbatore, with the fantastic linkage to the Western Ghats, down south to God's own country, and the knowledge that you have. And the entrepreneurship skill that you have is phenomenal. I can just see Yash, the youngster, who introduced me better than what I really stand for. That is new India. That is young India. And I'm very confident that Coimbatore can become the hub of Ayur Valley. And with that, once you create, people will come in. It's a question of how much, enterprises come up. And today there are more startups and close-ups. We don't want that. We want determinations of the government. And not necessarily you should always lend your hand for the government money. But I think it's innovation that will drive the way. So I would say in fighting COVID-19, we require now, we have no choice till the vaccine comes in about 24 months. The only thing you can do is to boost your immunity. Nothing else. Nothing else. You can't do anything. You can't say COVID, don't come. It will say, sorry, I'm here next door. But if your immunity is beyond others, you are one step better, 2 steps better. You can handle low doses of COVID and you never know that it has come. Body will handle it. So with that kind of approach, I think the importance of food, the importance of nutrition, the importance of entertaining the gut bacteria rather than entertaining too many guests in your house. Please entertain the guest in the stomach, in the belly. As Dr. Kalam said, fire in the belly, very important. And that fire is the gut bacteria, that you have good bacteria, which will fight. Please take care of it and talk to it every day. And lastly, I mentioned about woman. Woman is the best entrepreneur that you can see. You bring 10 of your friends suddenly, she will create from somewhere upma in 10 minutes. Very similar to what Indigo gives you in the flight, was giving you. I have not flown Indigo recently. And that upma comes from Tamil Nadu, made in Chennai. And therefore, she creates something in 10 minutes. Amazing, amazing. And don't repeat it too many times because you may be in trouble. But an innovator to the core. And how many housewives, how many working women acting as housewives are there in this country? Amazing, amazing. So therefore, we have to remember that whatever we have eaten when our mother gave us food, we still remember that in our tongue CD-ROM. The tongue is a CD. And the taste never dies till you die. Taste keeps on increasing as a matter of fact. When you are young, you are eating 2 masala dosa. When you are 85, you want to somehow manage with 3 if you can. So the taste is very important. And the mother's taste has been embedded. And that's true. Why? The first few foods that you ate when you were young has created a bacteria with you, which is wanting that dosa with butter, with red chutney on it, and not you. Please, when you want a dosa, put the blame on the gut, not yourself. So why? That's because 99.6% of us are alike, genome-wise. We are all same. We are just a little bit different from housefly. But from the gut angle, from the gut genome, we are 90% different from each other. So therefore, I'd like to wind up this talk with all your age experience. How many of you have personalized, standardized what food is best for you in your life? We have no time. We have no time to finalize, standardize. Not what you like, what is good for you. That day I ate this, my mood went up. I was fantastic. I was very active. And I looked bright. Note down that. But have we done that? No. We eat what is given. We eat what is available and expect the body to function super. It's difficult. So even if we have not done till now, there is still a lot of time. It takes a while to personalize food. When you say personalize, not what you like, that is only about 20% of it. Remaining 80% is what is good to the body, but it should be tasty also. Otherwise you won't enjoy. So therefore, it is, just in the yellow curry of the dosa. I'm coming back to dosa. I'm sorry because I want to fix an example and rotate around it as a teacher. If you are in the kitchen adding half a spoon of turmeric, add 2 spoons. Doesn't matter. It looks more yellow and you get more turmeric on that. And add it in the end, not in the beginning, because turmeric will not be available to you, bioavailable. So I think it is these things that have to be done tomorrow to personalize your food, what you have to eat, how much you have to eat, and eat in moderation. And as things say, 70% has to be full. with food in the stomach. 30%, please allow the air. Otherwise, there will be no oxidation of food in terms of digestion. No. So you will have a different digestive system. So please allow the 30% air for fermentation. And if you don't do it, it will be anaerobic fermentation and you will have problems. So please have 30% of your stomach permanently empty. And compared to those who had empty stomach for 3 days, once in 3 days, we are slightly better. So with that, let me wind up this talk with hats off to the mother, to the sister, to the grandmother, to wife, to the daughter-in-law, who make our lives very different. And even if they take 1 day leave, we know what is the effect. The effect is disastrous. You suddenly go to the nearby Ayer hotel and pack idli and bring it home, right? So I think it is very important. We know the value of that and how best they know, because they know your gut and not you. They know what you like and not you. I also missed a mother-in-law. I have to mention it because I have a mother-in-law who is 96, who is staying with me. And without seeing her every day, we are very uncomfortable and we talk to her. So it is this love and affection that will strengthen the immunity and keep the COVID-19 away, provided you are happy, provided you are satisfied, provided you have no too much greed and everything in moderation. With that, I would say thank you very much for the patience you had. And I made it a little bit more general, but focused on COVID and the business part of it. I still feel Coimbatore can create Ayur Valley. It's a dream that you have to do. And I'm sure Murli will promise me that that will take forward. So there is no free talk. There is no free lunch, as people say. So I would demand from Rotary, with your entrepreneurship, with your survey, please think of, may not be a same word, but something different also. But I think if there is a Silicon Valley, if there is a software technology in Bangalore and Silicon Valley in California and Genome in Hyderabad, why not? Why not Ayur Valley in Coimbatore? I stop here with that question with the dangerous optimism that it will happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor, for installing the thought of immunity and connecting it with food and nutrition and gut. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Since you brought up Coimbatore as well, I would like to say that one of our charter member and president, PP Tuljaram Rao, was a scientist in Sugarcane Breeding Institute.
Correct.
Instrumental in developing special brand of sugarcane. And I would like to also let you know that one of our stalwarts, Rotarian SUB uncle and KPR uncle, are pioneers in the field of sugar industry.
Yeah. Perfect. You are actually a sugar valley. so innovative. And that has resulted, just like the IR48, this variety has been fantastic. It has shown the world, and it has also traveled all the way, do you know, to various other islands where, like New Guinea, and also the Caribbean island. So it has traveled all the way wherever Indian labor went when they were imperialistic rule. And we also heard that the imperialistic rule labeled the best grains in the world as horse gram, pigeon pea, etc. Why will my granddaughter eat pigeon pea? She'll say, give it to the pigeon, you know. So we need to get rid of all that and call it nutri-grain. And with that question, after the questions are over at the end, you all believe in Six Sigma. You all believe, because some of you are Six Sigma guys, yeah? And I see women here. Some of them are Six Sigma. Of course, our women in the kitchen is always Six Sigma. But in food, in Ayurveda, in Sanskrit, we have 16 Sigma. Can you believe it? 16 Sigma. I will list it at the end of this whole question and answer. Just tell you the list. And with that, I don't know what is the procedure that you follow. You have a question and answer or discussion, whatever it is. I would like you to go ahead with that. I'll be very happy to answer questions, but brief questions, brief answers.
Floor is open for question and answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, Rajaram.
Yeah, Raj.
Sir, usually the best speakers are reserved for installation day. I must say, last week we had the installation function. You have bettered the installation speaker. Yours is what we had the best speaker so far, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
45 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
And another thing I would like to add, sir, regarding Ayurveda and Siddha practice, lot of doctors have apprehension that metals are added in those medications, so they cause kidney damage to the people who consume it. How far it is true, sir?
In homeopathy, if you today go to homeopathy for building your immunity, they give you what is called as arsenic alba 30. You need to take for 5 days per month till the vaccine arrives. If the vaccine arrives for 5 years, you have to take till that. Afterwards also you can continue, it builds up your immunity. So I can't say arsenic is dangerous. And in homeopathy, it is below Avogadro's number. Avogadro's number is, huge, and it is below, it works. Similarly, in Ayurveda and Siddha, use bhasma. These are not pure metals. When I say iron, you are deficient in iron, I don't want you to take iron filings and swallow. That will be dangerous. That is not the way we are talking. We talk about ferrous sulfate, we talk of ferrous fumarate. These are oxidative compounds of metals which are not toxic. So therefore, the Western world, in order to bury us completely, uses an analysis for arsenic and then say dangerous level. Yes, they have evaluated it for arsenic. They didn't see the anion. They only saw the cation. How can I evaluate you only by seeing your hand? I have to see your face. I have to see your brain. I have to check your body. Then only I know you are healthy. One hand, if you show me, how can I say you are healthy? So therefore, but in many other places, there's also what is called Nadi doctor. He just wants one hand. That's all. He will detect. So what I am telling is, it is important that we should fight. And today we have a big lobby on that called Arogya Bharati in India, which is pushing this agenda beyond the regulation of WHO, beyond the regulation of the world, to fight against with, it is evidence-based. Last 3,000 years we are using and we are not dead. Otherwise we wouldn't have been here, right? So if that was poisonous, it has come from generation to generation. 1,000 generations have used and we are still alive. So therefore, to label something which is epidemiologically coming as safe. So we had a challenge 14 years back. Rice is poisonous if you take in excess. Annam Brahmam is not known. So rice is not a calorie. It has got so many other things for your gut. So similarly, my point is, if it is done without a process, without a valid process, by a quack, yes, it's going to be a problem. If it is done with a good process, if your grandmother puts pickle, it will stay for 3 years. If you put pickle, it will stay only for 3 days. Then it will ferment. So therefore, it is the process that is important than the end. So bhasma is burnt and burnt 400 times.
Titrated. What titrated?
I mean, we have to be confident about our system, but we have to be filtering the quacks. It is the quacks that create the problem. And therefore, we have to be very careful in where we buy, where we use. And globally, UK has taken off that rule. Everybody has taken off in the world after the last 12 years of fighting. And now Ayurveda products are online, Amazon. You can order your Ayurveda product from Amazon.com. See, the world has approved. But it took a long fight, a sustained fight. and not face-to-face standoff, but mind-to-mind standoff for a long time with patience and with knowledge, with evidence-based, at the same time with the support of the system. And we should build that evidence. These are evidence-based science. Let science not prove that India is good. India will prove to the world that India is good through the help of modern science. That's what it is. It is not artificial intelligence, it is natural intelligence and the database management. Thank you.
Sir, but the proponent of Ayurveda in Coimbatore, for his kidney problem, he went to states for kidney transplantation. But for the local people, he has been advising Ayurveda treatment for kidney problem. See, that creates a doubt in the mind of the people. That is why people are afraid of going to Ayurveda for kidney problem. That is why I am asking people like
As I said, you are already taking 50% of your food in Ayurveda, basically. You don't repair anybody. Already you make a list, you are taking Ayurveda. So don't worry. Don't worry for one person when there are 1.3 billion is there.
Well, the proponent of the founder of the greatest Ayurveda institution in Coimbatore, when he had a kidney problem, he went to US for a kidney transplantation. Let such be the case. How far is patient?
Let me also tell, sometimes in Ayurveda, when you bring a cardiac patient when he's about to die, there is no Ayurvedic treatment suddenly. You need to take him to an ICU, give oxygen, give streptokinase, and then bring him back. So Ayurveda is a lifestyle. Throughout the life, we have to use before the disease, and after the disease, it is complicated. So prevent and delay the disease. If you have a family history of diabetes, taking a proper Ayurveda or Unani or Siddha or Homeo will only delay the disease, but ultimately you have to get it because your genes will say, instead of getting at 40, why don't you get at 90? And at 95, you should get all diseases to say goodbye. You know, otherwise, otherwise we become Chiranjeevis. So very important to delay the disease, to prevent it, like with immunity.
You go with Ayurvedic style from the beginning itself.
It's a lifestyle. It is not a medicine. That's why he had to go abroad. There is no quick medicine to repair a kidney. But Shushruta Samhita also explains how to replace a kidney, for your information. 2000-year-old document.
Correct.
Since I'm good at Sanskrit, I can read it. And I know it.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Rajaram, so kind of you.
I have a question, doctor.
Yes.
Sir, you are on mute. You are on mute. Please unmute yourself, doctor.
No, I'm not on mute. I'm okay.
I'm telling Para here, Dr. Para here. He's
okay.
No, I am speaking. Bharat Shah here.
Oh, Bharat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I had a question, doctor.
Yes, Bharat.
You spoke about taking so much of food as a natural thing to improve the health. But today, the food has so much of pesticide that people say you should take organic food. How much is this relevant in our day-to-day life? Because every time we can't go search for organic food for everything that we eat.
It is expensive.
The answer is very simple because this question has been asked to me more than 100 times, both by the politicians, the press, and the personal friends, and so on. See, you need to really be very clear. For example, we don't have pesticide in rice because paddy, it covers paddy, and then you don't add pesticide to rice. You don't have pesticide in wheat because you can't add that much pesticide for 120 million tons. And so that's not possible. So you have two things. Wheat and rice are free of pesticide. But you're talking about fruits and vegetables. Let us say banana has so far no pesticide. Okay. So you have to select pesticide-rich foods and avoid it. Such as, I won't take grapes unless I know the source. It's very complicated, right? But whereas pineapple, watermelon, and so on cannot have pesticide in it. There's a helmet around it. Pesticide cannot enter. So we have to have a little bit of knowledge and don't go by just because I'm saying. You have to use your own knowledge a little bit. Hey, musk melon cannot have pesticide. How can pesticide go inside it? Nobody is going to try to push inside with an injection. No. So I think I would select fruits which are having a peel At the same time, avoid a few things which are known to contain pesticide in large amount. But once again, I want to tell you, if you wash with soap water, most of the pesticide is gone, because pesticide will become emulsified, just like COVID. You have to wash your hands. You're not washing your hands earlier, which is a bad practice. I'm sorry. You should have been washing your hands from lifelong. Why only when COVID came? And that's a very unhygienic practice we have been following. Luckily, God is great. We are all alive. So I think it is important that wash with a soap, which is used for normally for edible purposes, vessels and so on, a drop of it, soak it, and if you still want to eat them for your satisfaction, you know. Otherwise, most of the fruits you will find have peels. Nobody adds pesticide to sapota or chiku. Nobody adds. You can't add. You can't add, let me tell you. And mango is only contaminated with calcium carbide for ripening. And so you select at the proper time. So I think if you can avoid your vegetables, you need to be very careful. I think you need to buy from a good fresh source as much as possible. Who will add pesticide to drumstick? You please answer me. How can I add pesticide to drumstick? I cannot, even if I try to. I'm not going to try. Lastly, I would like to say, as the chairman of the JPC, Mr. Sharad Pawar, during the Coke episode of pesticide contamination and Pepsi contamination, he asked me to give a technical report where we gave. And in Kerala, this experiment was done. A lot of pesticide was put to a coconut tree at the bottom. And the water in the coconut tree was drank, was analyzed. There's zero pesticide. So please remember, it is safe to drink coconut water, even if somebody is putting 1 kilogram of pesticide at the bottom to kill you. The coconut will protect you. That's why it is called as kalpavriksha. Okay, so you can't kill the coconut tree by pesticide. So I'm just giving an example, extreme, but I think very important to remember. If you can make a choice, you will see that certain things can be eliminated, and then 95% of the problem is over. But if you want to satisfy your tongue and buy that one only, then you have to decide whether your health is important or your taste is important. Okay, so, but you are right, there is a contamination, but to a large extent, buy from as much as possible from the local shandy, where people bring small amount, not in tons and tons, which is processed. Yeah, thank you. By the way, coriander and curry leaf never contains pesticide. I can tell you, it never contains pesticide. Because there is no time to put pesticide. It will grow by in 2 weeks. So no pesticide. Okay. So good, wonderful. Like lime has no pesticide. No insect will attack lime. Keep a lime for 4 months, it will be there black, but inside the lime juice is still alive. No problem. And the pH will not allow any organisms to grow. Wonderful. Next one, please.
Yeah, I have a question.
Ashish.
Ramesh Bafna here.
Yeah, Ramesh. Thank you.
So basically, that Ayurveda normally says that you should not have hot water, lime, and honey, whereas it is more prescribed that early morning empty stomach, lime with honey and warm water is always good. So what is your opinion on that? There's a lot of confusion on that.
I want to ask you, who told you to drink that? I want to catch hold of that person and ask him that question rather than you asking me that question. See, what we do, we hear Tom, Dick and Harry's and make a practice. And when the good advice comes, you say, somebody told me I'm doing, he is asking me to stop. No, I don't agree. Whenever somebody advises you, ask him the source. Why is he telling? How is he telling? Why is he experimenting on you? I mean, it should be written in scriptures. It should be written somewhere. I cannot, if the doctor says, take this white tablet, you will not take. You will say, what is the tablet? No, I will not tell you. Sorry, doctor, I won't take. Is it amoxicillin? Is it aspirin? Is it paracetamol? That much knowledge you have. But in somebody says hot water, milk, honey, cow urine, everything put together, we tend to believe. But I'm not degrading anything. But I'm just telling, please check the source. I want to check the source if somebody tells me something. Otherwise, WhatsApp has created such a mess that everything is advised like an expert. You know, if you have a heart attack, if you stand upside down, your heart attack will go away. You don't have to go to hospital. Certainly that's true. You don't have to go to hospital. Your route is somewhere else. So I think these are all things like Shirsasana in yoga. Do any one of you know Patanjali's Yoga Shastra and Yoga Sutra has written, when you stand on your head, a people's tree leaf should pass below your head and the ground. The head will not rest on the ground. The weight of the body is on the shoulder, not on the head. If it is on the head, your capillaries get damaged. And when you do 1 year, after that, your family feels you are going mad, I think, because you have a damaged capillary, blood leakage. It's not a problem because a quack has taught you yoga. Professional guru is very important. That's why guru is fundamental. So I want to answer your question. You know, if it is, consult a correct person who is knowledgeable and who is not charging you fees. That's very important. And he should be able to tell you what is what. But boiling water and honey has a problem because it will hydrolyze the honey into various sugars that may be difficult to metabolize. So that's why we always say in all these systems, I'm not an Ayurvedic doctor, neither a homeo nor a Siddha or a Unani doctor. I'm not even an allopathic doctor. It's warm, moderate, 37 degrees. Body is 37. So this is very important. And why empty stomach? Because the metabolism is better. But you have a strong cup of South Indian coffee with 15% chicory in it, nothing will work. Everything will be loaded. Your body is already loaded with caffeine, and nothing will work. So it has to metabolize for 2 hours. Then it will work. That's why. So I think it is very important what we practice, because somebody told us, a friend told us, Dr. Prakash told us, please don't do that. Verify from the authenticated source. And what is written in the scriptures, with what. That's why we say combination of food is very important. Please tell me, can you eat idli with ketchup? Maybe some of you can. Why? I advise you to eat with ketchup because it contains lycopene. Lycopene is good for health. So eat your idli from tomorrow with ketchup. You start eating and then, no, we are used to eating idli with chutney. Idli with sambar. And some of us have the bad habit of eating idli with curds also. So I think it is very important that combination of food matters a lot. And it is that combination which is very important. That's why turmeric with a little bit dash of pepper and a dash of honey into warm water, not boiling for 10 minutes and drinking, because you are going to change the composition completely. But this is not going to, because turmeric is going to paste the intestine for 10 days, it is going to be there. Amazing. And that will protect you against other pathogens if you are not well. But on a continuous basis, all these things will be much more than what the body needs. So don't overdose the body just because somebody said. Everything has to be in Sanskrit, mita, moderation. When you're 70-year-old, can you go for jogging for 25 kilometers? An ambulance has to follow you. So it's not possible. So I think moderation is very important. How much we have to take, how much our kidney can take, how much our liver can take is very important. Just because something is said by somewhere, we can't overload our body. Not necessarily. The more you load, the more it goes out. Whatever is needed is in a food-based approach rather than on a chemical-based approach. That's my way of looking at it. Yeah? I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for gospel, but that's my way of looking at it. If I'm not convinced, and if nobody can convince me, it is not truth. That's all. That's what I think.
Murali, can I ask?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I am Dr. Ramchandran.
Yes, Ramchandran.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
when we talk about antibody response, now there is two schools of thought now coming. One says the antibody doesn't last longer. A small group of believers who think that there is going to be a lifelong immunity. And that is why I think they have started trying this plasma therapy without even knowing how much of antibody it truly contains. So can you enlighten on us?
What is the second question?
Whether this virus creates enough of antibodies to prevent a reinfection.
So your first question.
Number one.
Okay.
I'll complete the second question also.
Yeah.
If we believe that building up immunity is what is going to protect us from the disease, the hospitals all over the world, especially the ones which have seen a very high mortality, have they run a strategy to see whether there's a larger percentage of human immunodeficiency virus carrying population that succumb to the disease?
I will answer your second question first. It's simple. That's why I take it first. Typical student philosophy is first answer the question, which is simple. In the crisis management, we don't start doing experiments. Too late. These experiments require 5 to 10 years sometimes. Like a development of a drug used to take 20 years. And today it is taking much lesser time because of technology and techniques and modern tools. So your point is correct, but a lot of R&D has to be done in that area and data collected, and also the nature of, and also the nature of the personal genes that one has in terms of immunity, in terms of infection rate and infection level. It is very important. So I would strongly feel that just to say yes or no is not correct, and we need experimental facts to do. And this is not a time for experiment. If somebody is in a traffic accident and you don't start treating him with the experimental things, no, you want to take him quick and make him alive. So this is a time of emergency in COVID. So whatever we know, we are trying to put in, and that's what doctors are doing. I believe they are correct. But on the first question, when you say the B cells, according to my knowledge, Murli can correct me, he's a better immunologist than me, and the B cells always retains a copy and goes into sleep mode. And whenever it sees the same infection coming again, it now sends the message to multiply the copies, like a Xerox copy of question paper leaked. It's going to really make it into thousands, billions, and fight it. But sometimes over a period of time, this mechanism fails. So that's why some of the systems, as you get old, your immunity decreases. That doesn't mean that means when you are under lockdown, particularly in COVID, your immunity is very low. You know why? You are not exposed to pathogens. You are not exposed to the daily viruses you are exposed for the last 60, 70 years. And you are in a sterile condition at home. So your immunity, that means the army is not alerted. The army is sleeping. The army says, the country said, don't protect the border, go home. What happens to the border? That's what has happened to you when you are locked down. So when your lockdown is open, everybody goes out and their immunity is low, they get infected. So therefore, that memory of the B cells sometimes fails because you don't keep it alert with other things. But for every antigen, there's an antibody. And the B cells keep a copy. And what a mechanism it has. It is like a storage system of palm leaves protected. And then it removes a particular one and fishes it out. And the chain reaction of that is so well done, which you cannot control. You will not be able to control. And therefore, that kind of antibody response will depend only on the age factor. So if you're more aged, some of those memories are gone. So you're more vulnerable. If you're locked in, like in a prison or in a dormitory or in a house lockdown now, your immunity is very less. So don't think your immunity is very high just because you're locked down in the home. You have to boost it up with the proper food, proper exercise, and otherwise you're 50% down than somebody else who is not locked down. So therefore, you're more vulnerable. So therefore, we need to be exposed to more than about 100 viruses a day. We are used to it. And therefore, all that was keeping our immune system alert, now we have shut down the shop of immune system. So it doesn't know how to react sometimes. So therefore, a slow exposure is better. Just because the government said lockdown is open, don't go out and do everything possible in the earth. Get used to it slowly. And I want to emphasize here, you're so worried for 4 months lockdown. What about the animals in the zoo you have locked down for lifelong? Their immunity is zero. They die. Nowadays they're dying because their immunity is gone. And they don't wander around like in forest. So the same thing happens to us. We are in a zoo now, and the visitors are COVID, nobody else. Thank you.
Hello, doctor. This is Yash.
Yes, yes. You must have the best question, I believe.
No, not really. So from what I read, that you've worked closely with a lot of regulatory authorities as well. And I wanted to know that there are multiple vaccine companies, coming up with the news that a vaccine might soon be available. For example, AstraZeneca has told that they have reports where their vaccine is making antibodies and T cells when administered. So I wanted to know from you, like, would you rather consider it more of a possibility or a probability that we will have a safe vaccine this year?
I would certainly say it's a good question, but it's like demanding a young man like you who marries a girl. I'm getting old, you're married today, give me a baby in 1 week. Will you be able to give me a baby in 1 week to fulfill my desire as a grandfather? No. Why? Because the body has to follow certain protocols, right? So similarly, in the development of vaccine, there are certain phases that you have to go through, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I'm not in the regulatory of vaccine, but my knowledge says very clearly. Way back, we were 30 years, one vaccine, 20 years, one vaccine. We took 50 years also to develop some. And nowadays, we have compressed it. But we can't over-compress and say, and recently we had a problem with one of the regulatory authorities demanding people to give on Independence Day the vaccine. Vaccine doesn't know it is Independence Day. How can it come suddenly from somewhere? It is not a UFO to suddenly land here. So I think it has to take its time. And normally it is moderate to expect in 18 to 24 months. But remember, that may not work with all COVID because COVID has variants, a lot of variants, So we already have more than about 20, 30 variants, and it may not affect, it may not be working on all of them. And again, comorbidity factors such as diabetes, blood pressure, cardiac, etc., and other metabolic diseases also plays a major role because you've overused your system, and therefore you see 46% of the death is not only elders but youngsters, so which scares quite a bit about the immunity. So I think it's not going to be immediate. But if somebody is a hoax doctor who says, I've got a vaccine, take it, it costs you 5 lakhs rupees, and I think better check with your fellow Rotarians. Okay, so it's going to take quite a long time if we have to have a reliable. But remember, those who manage their body well and with mask, with hand washing, and not social distance, I don't like that word. We have to have physical distance with a new life. Chances are good that our immunity will protect us. And vaccine is needed, but above that, have your immunity boosted up. That is in your hand. Vaccine is in commercial angle, but you are in the business of your own body. So you push the immunity. That's what I like about it. Yeah, good question, Yash. Very nice. Thank you.
Sir, I have a time check here. We are 90 minutes into the meeting here.
Wonderful.
I'm sure there must be definitely more people on the call who would like to take more questions. My suggestion is please WhatsApp me so that President, with your permission, you can ask them to WhatsApp me if there are any questions to Dr. Prakash, so that we stick to the time schedule. Unless there is any pressing question, I hand it over to the President again.
I have one small, that 16 sigma that I have to announce. I
Please,
mentioned to you.
Go ahead, sir.
All of you know about 6 sigma and the Indian system of traditional food, not Ayurveda, not Unani, not Siddha, traditional foods I'm talking, which I learned quite a bit from Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Lakshmi Tatachar. Quite a bit I have interacted with them over last 25 years. I had to gather this into one place. Consolidation is my bad habit. So it says a food has to be the following. So something interesting. 1, swachha, clean. 2, shamsudha, pure. 3, suraksha, safe. 4, swadhishtha, tasty. 5, sattvika, virtuous. Amazing word. Sattvika has no translation in English. Sattvika, virtuous. Sumanaka, well balanced. Sanskarita, well cooked and garnished. Well cooked and garnished. Supachya, easy to digest. Very important. Sukarmika, in right sequence. Can you eat Tairisadam first and then eat rasam and rice later? There is a sequence of operation. Then Supatya is individualized or personalized. I mentioned to you. It is not what you like, or what you make a list. In per week, I have to get this much food that I would like. Then Swasthya, healthy. Saukhya, wellness. Saukhya is a very complicated word. Wellness. It includes mental also. Then Shrestha, quality and quantity. Shrestha, Uttama. Then Sumulya is affordable. And lastly, Sampurna. It has to be complete and wholesome. This complete the 16 sigma of food. So therefore, what a country we live in. It's amazing. And we leave that and go somewhere else. Neither we are there nor here. So we get into Trishantu Swarga and COVID takes the advantage. So I want to wind up at that point of that. So let us, I'm not telling everything is fine with tradition, but it looks like if it is supported by science, always the answer has been, it's good. And we need to go by process and reliability and documentation. And if you are not convinced, don't take it. That's your choice, always. But there is a choice for us. But allopathy is very important and let us not downgrade it. That's why I've been asking people to change the name of Ayush Ministry to Ayusha. That is, last year is for allopathy. Why are we separating the two? Why we should separate the two? We want a holistic approach. Together, let knowledge come from all sources. Then only sarve janaah sukhino bhavantu. Otherwise, it won't. So don't say Ayurveda is better than allopathy. Allopathy is better than homeopathy. No. Take knowledge from everywhere and then use it to the best of the advantage of the individual. What suits him, what suits her. And my pranams to the lady of the house and for giving us food every day, and to the God and to the farmer. Two people we remember, farmer and the soldier. Let us not forget these two at any day when we get up. In the morning when you get up, remember the farmer, remember the soldier. Otherwise, somebody else will be your neighbor next day if the soldier is not there. And if the farmer is not there, you don't have breakfast. So please remember two words, and then I'm sure you always remember God. So all the best. Thank you very much for your patience. I now complete my presentation and hand it over to you back, Dr. Murli and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I request Rotarian Murli to deliver vote of.
Thank you, sir. I don't want to make it very customary here. Just a very quick thing to all the people who have been here. So I learned only a few days ago that idli, which I like most, and my wife thinks that it's the safest food, is not South Indian. And Dr. Prakash told me it is from Indonesia. So that was a big dampener for me when I knew that it was from Indonesia.
And there are 40 different kinds of idlis. Documented.
So I have personally learned quite a lot of things. I'm a hardcore molecular biologist. And Para, I will take some of your questions on B cell and T cell because we have been following that space very, very closely. So I will definitely send you some material offline. But I'm not in the business of advertising anything here. But this was if you can see me holding up something here, that is because of one of the things that Dr. Prakash inspired me. So I have been saying that the better half of me is inside my intestine because we are outnumbered by 10 times by the microorganisms a minimum. So it is more than the better half which is inside, and we have completely neglected. We have been using antibiotics indiscriminately. We have been eating food that is not, the bug is not used to. So he inspired me. In spite of being a molecular biologist, I have actually come out with a product where I am looking at what he has indirectly and subtly hinted. Shriram knows, which he's been spearheading in my research team. It is called the microbiota accessible carbohydrates, meaning MAC. So the MAC power is what you need in your body. And the MAC power is what you actually have as indigestible carbohydrate, which only the gut is able to do it. So you have a whole lot of friendly people sitting there silently inside you. And they are actually looking at your mood. They are looking at your health. They are looking at metabolizing your drugs. There are innumerable things that they do silently, which we have completely overlooked. So I have learned quite a lot of this from Dr. Prakash, and that's one of the reasons I put out this product during COVID times, so that people can benefit, which has got most of the farmers handpicked choices of how you can have a complete nutrition, which is what he was talking about. I cannot say this is a stellar product, but at least it has made the first baby step in terms of what we can do. So I really would like to thank Dr. Prakash. He's been inspiring quite a lot of people there. And if he has made me move away from my core competence, which is molecular biology, then that shows how much he has been able to shift some of the radical thinking that we have had. So I think that is very good. So thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much for sparing your time. I didn't know you had so many books in the pipeline. So please do let us know if there is any chapter or even a verse or a sentence or a full stop that we can contribute. We'll be happy.
See, my power of publishing so many books goes to my wife because she's the co-author. She's a nutritionist. So, yes, the power of a lady always is superb. And
yeah,
as long as you have that power, you can do many things. So I owe my book knowledge to my wife, who is a co-author in all the things. And
thank you.
And she's a nutritionist, and I've learned nutrition from her. She's my teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. President, floor is yours to conclude.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. Thank you very much. First meeting of Rotary Coimbatore Central for the year 2021 is adjourned here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye friends. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Very well informative meeting, President.
Yeah, and we had almost 38 participants throughout 90 minutes. Yeah.
That's great.
Hi, Chuk sir.
I see. Very good. Very nice. I enjoyed the topic.
Thank you.
Ashish,
Thank
keep
you.
it up. Yeah.
You joined late, Chuk sir?
No. From the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
I joined at 6:35 actually, not at 6:30.
Thank you.
My wife's also with me. She also joined. Yeah, she's also
Great.
enjoying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good shop. As the doctor said, the better halves are always caretakers.
Ashish,
Yeah.
meeting was great.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you.
Great, wonderful information.
Yeah. No, all thanks to Murlina. He only arranged a great speaker, and we were able to hear his thoughts on that. Actually.
Murli,
I think he has left. He has left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll convey him. I'll convey him. Yeah.
Please. Wonderful job. Wonderful job.
And thank you, uncle. Thank you. Thank you.
Good start for the year.
Thank you, uncle. Thank you so much. Thank
It
you.
is nutritious,
Yeah.
tasty,
Yeah.
wonderfully cooked,
Yeah. Yeah.
and healthy.
Healthy. Yeah. 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 And we have recorded the entire meeting, and I'll share with in the group actually, so that we can hear his speech time and again in case we have any doubt. Yeah.